Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins here. As we said, the Bob Lazar lost audio tapes have arrived via Michael Schratt, and we're sharing with you the second portion of this world exclusive. Never heard before? It's been almost 30 years since these audio tapes have been listened to by anyone. So buckle up and enjoy, again, the Bob Lazar lost tapes.
It had a cap that fit over it. This is where the 115 sat. That was a copper color.
The cap was too?
No, the cap was just the cone inside, or the 115 inside.
And this tube, I guess, went to the.
No, this
guys,
because
or?
the reactor was removed, and this tube just goes to the base.
Oh, okay. What goes on in the tube? Is that?
I think this gets into the reactor portion. The 115 sits in here, and it's in a triangular shape, and the point of it sits level with this tube. And I think this is where the reaction's taking place, where they it really looks like a little accelerator, where they're accelerating a proton, interacting it with here, and then on the base here. Now all this happens within 2 inches, which is fantastic. On the base here, there's some thermionic generator, and this is where they're converting the heat to electrical power, and where it's producing as a byproduct the gravity wave, which for some reason propagates to the skin of this device. But the
was the 115 a square-based triangular shape, or is it a complete?
No, just
triangular.
Just like that, a piece with ridges in it. Just a slice.
Oh.
From what I understand, the way these are cut is the 115 comes in discs, like silver dollar size. They're stacked up. I don't know how they're attached together. This is put on a lathe and cut into a cone. Mm-hmm. And then with the cone, they slice through it. And then those slices form these, so they have a little curve on top.
It'd almost be like that.
Exactly.
As they go through.
Exactly. Now, why this is done, I don't know. If it's just to cut it in a triangle, why not take a piece and do this? Obviously, there's some reason they have to go through all that trouble. But that's what the ridges are on them.
Probably something about surface area.
I don't know.
Is it heavy material?
Yes. Yeah, you can tell it's strange. Just holding it with tongues, it's over heavy.
Was it radioactive?
Supposedly it's an alpha emitter, but the piece that I had and I tested, it was just, if it is, it's the lowest level alpha particle emitter I've ever. You just let it run for hours and try and gauge it over background. It might be 1 or 2 counts every 15 or 20 minutes above background, so it's, I don't know what.
So what you're saying is that it's extremely safe.
Yes.
To work.
Yeah. Now, all
toxic.
All heavy metals are toxic.
And machining or cutting, anything like that would be toxic.
Generally, the heavier they get, the more toxic they are. So I imagine it's highly toxic. Now, it may not be, but I think following along standard lines of the normal elements, I would imagine it's very toxic. I saw no oxide coating on it. It looked a bright copper color.
It stayed that way.
Right.
It's relatively stable.
Right. Plutonium, for instance, it ignites on contact with air. It tarnishes instantaneously. Uranium, too.
You say it's copper colored?
Yeah, like a burnished.
Like that over there?
Beryllium color?
Your pot under the phone there?
Nah, beryllium's too gold. In this area, but brighter, right in here.
She likes the left ear flip.
Yeah,
phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that pretty close?
That's an interesting material.
I would say.
Yeah. All the things you've talked about.
I
That's
would
really
imagine they would, after they lathe these cones, whatever, they take this scrap and recycle it to make more. Or?
I'm sure they don't just throw it away. Which makes me think that they're making these discs, that they're melting the material and then cutting them again.
Did you ever see any physical properties listed for the material?
Yeah, melting point, a couple other things too. I wrote them down. Gene has them. I don't remember them off the top of my head.
So this little incense burner, if you will, whatever you're sticking this in, is it basically the same color as the Element 115?
No, that's the same color as everything else in the 150. Did you ever see the model that was made?
Of the reactor?
Yeah.
I saw it once on the table in here.
Oh, because
when I came over, it was just the...
There's some video on it.
And I think I have the video. Yeah.
Yes, that was half scale. I had a friend build that, make it out of metal, and it was very, very close to what it looked like.
You still have it, the model?
No, I don't. I have the video of it, though.
I have the video of it, I believe.
That was very close.
Looking up, at the ceiling or whatever, is there a deck above the deck we're on, with the chairs and the console?
Yes.
And it goes up through that deck?
Yeah. Now, that's where I believe, this is just a guess out of the clear blue sky, should there be any navigating equipment or any other heavy electronic or pseudo-electronic equipment, that's where it is.
On the next deck.
Right. On that, because on the ridges here, you see about 3 foot square black. I don't know if they were windows, ports, or if they were just black areas, but certainly something is going on that other level that, of great interest that I didn't get to see.
And they are square?
Yeah.
Or are they rectangular?
No, they're square. They're square.
But they're black when you viewed it from the outside.
Right. But, there again, the only time I did see it is when it was outside and I was looking directly into the sun.
Yeah, when you look at cars with the blackened windows, they look pretty black, but from the inside you can look out.
Yeah.
And it's used the shade and keep sunlight out. I mean, if you're traveling somewhere got intense radiation, it might be something that you
tank
the inside.
Yeah, and at that time the sun was directly behind it too, so it really couldn't tell if there was any light inside.
How much headroom did you have, to that next ceiling in there?
No, not much. Not much.
Did
In
you
fact,
have to hunch over in there, or?
Yeah, because you hit. I think you have maybe 10 feet. You have about 6 feet at the center.
Mm-hmm.
But in a 10-foot diameter circle here, now you begin to hit.
Yeah,
now you begin to hit the sides of the wall.
So 6
not the
feet
most
at the
comfortable.
center. About.
Yeah, approximately.
I think we're dealing
with. It was just taller than me.
We're dealing with 4 foot characters. I mean, is that conceivable? I mean, you
certainly 5 foot is
people with
max.
Back problems.
Yeah, no, there's no way a 5 foot person could operate in there.
Yeah.
It was certainly uncomfortable for me, and because I noticed as I walked, even in the center, I could feel my hair sticking up. There was either some sort of static charge or something. Where you're constantly putting your hair down to stop from looking like an idiot, or just a natural reaction. But I always, as I put my hand up on top of my head, I'd hit the wall or hit the ceiling rather. So it was
Did you feel the hair on your hand stand up when you did that? And like when you run your hand across the front of a CRT?
I don't remember. Okay, I don't remember. But I know I was constantly doing that.
Okay.
Very
what's
close.
The seat look like?
Very close, but the seat continues down.
Oh, okay.
It's not on a post.
Right.
Okay. Almost like it was a sheet of rubber and someone pushed it up from underneath.
Mm-hmm. Like a vacuum form. part.
Yeah, like a vacuum form part, yes.
Which, in fact, maybe that would explain a lot how everything was made. Like it really looked like that. Like if there was some sort of mold, and they started out with a piece of metal, and then a vacuum form, and sucked in these consoles, the seats, and everything, and then there's the level, and then they.
Is that wonderful from a tooling standpoint for a model kit?
Yeah, well, from the
Yeah, I guess it is.
It's been beautiful.
It's
No
easy to clean
undercuts.
up the areas too. I mean, you don't have all these things to reach under and
Yeah, there's nothing to do if anyone was to build it.
Oh yeah, that's perfect for cleaning, keeping it clean.
And the sides would kind of, like your typical sort of 50s fiberglass chairs. Did the sides actually come up around your thighs or whatever? Or, I mean, was it a bucket sort of?
Yeah, it was a bucket seat. To sit on it, you have to sit on the arm.
Okay.
But it was not padded. It was. Of course, it wasn't metal either. Well, maybe it was.
Well, if you weighed 30-some pounds, you probably wouldn't need great padding. And if you were contained perhaps in a force field within the ship, you
I'm
might
trying to
be
remember
under a
if it-
zero-G condition. What padding do you
minimum
need?
gravity.
I guess. I was trying to remember if it flexed at all.
There weren't any belts or harnesses,
No.
or looks like
If there
snaps
were,
to
they-
put them there, or
No.
Is there any sign anywhere of liquids, anything that dripped, that caused a line? Was the floor textured? Was there any...
Yeah, the floor was kind of interesting. How would I draw this? To open. Let's get this oriented right. I think the door would be here. And right here, this is the access to the lower level.
and
and
it's
it's-
pretty close to the edge, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, very close to the
very
edge.
Narrow in there.
Yeah, that's why I only fit the top torso of my body in there, because I lay and bend and I could just see the amplifiers hanging upside down. This pushes together if you had lots of, that's a pentagon, lots of hexagons together in a mesh.
Mhm.
There's an opening here, an area that you can stick your hand in and push, and all the hexagons collapse. You can push it, and that's how you can look down inside. And as long as you hold it, it'll stay. When you let it go, it's a little How can I describe it without? Can you imagine that kind of a
Self-hinged
honeycomb?
type thing?
Think of a honeycomb made out of thin, like springy metal strips. A large
Okay.
honeycomb, okay?
Mhm.
And if it was about that thick and just
So it's a grate.
yeah,
It's a
grate
grate.
made like that, and if you pushed on the
Gotcha.
corner, they would all kind of collapse into each other. It was kind of a neat
Okay.
little door, and holding that open, you can look, and when you step back up, while they return to their shape, they go pop, 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 pop. So you could walk on it. It would be strong in that
What's the
respect.
dimension of the grate?
Uh,
Across the flats of that hex, for example.
2 inches, somewhere, just a rough.
Okay, so you could walk on it.
Yeah, certainly walk on it, because I stepped on it afterwards to
Push it
see if it
away.
would. But in a lateral force, it just pushed right open, which I thought was really kind of trick.
What was the dimension?
About 2 inches, somewhere in there.
Across the flats.
Yeah, and there was a little hand hole, it looked like, where you could that had nothing in it, where you could just stick your finger and push
And
it
what
open
would you
like
say the
that.
dimension of the whole opening is?
Not very big, because I just fit about this square, because it pushed in on my shoulders. Yeah, I mean, I just fit.
Maybe 17 inches.
Maybe 16.
16.
Yeah, because
And it was regular. It was square, or was it rectangular?
no, it was square.
Inch flat, so 16 inch.
Now the floor, aside from that,
Aside from
solid,
that's just solid, yeah.
without a texture. It was just the same gray stainless steel look.
Mm-hmm.
You'd slip if you were on it, if it was wet.
Yes.
basically.
Oh, certainly.
It was real shiny.
Yeah, it had more or less of a. You couldn't see yourself, but it was certainly
Mhm.
shiny.
And it felt really substantial when you walked. I mean, it felt.
I didn't feel any flex, and I purposely stepped on this to flex it, but it didn't. So that was pretty hefty strips of.
When you moved that, it compressed.
Yeah, the hexagons collapsed in like that.
When you pushed it, did it collapse in a V from the sides, or did the whole thing just move?
No, it collapsed in a V.
It did collapse.
Right from this point, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so folded it looked like this.
Did you see that treatment anywhere else at all?
No, but I thought about that for a long while after I left there. In fact, I think I came home and cut little strips of metal because what a good idea for a door of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just pop, but I couldn't get anything to do that. But
And yet at the same time, it's not really a door. I mean, not a concealing door, because you can see through it.
right, but it just operated so easy. But it had to be something very springy, like phosphor bronze or something like that, that would return to its shape. But that takes too much force to.
It's almost like
Pop.
a feeler gauge for a car.
Right, close to that type of metal, where it would spring back easily. But
Was there
Good elasticity.
anything that gave any sign of conventional Earth logic relative to heating or air
I didn't
conditioning
see
or
anything.
airflow or gas flow and environmental things? Just
if there was, it was concealed. Who knows where could it be concealed? I keep blaming everything on the floor I didn't see, but if I went up there and didn't see anything, it would still make perfect sense because I don't know how you can conceal.
reactor
that stuff.
wasn't cooled in any way that you
Reactor wasn't cooled. The reactor was in operation under heavy load. There was no latent heat. That violates one of Newton's first law. There has to be heat somewhere, and it certainly wasn't there. I don't know. There was no cooling, no liquid, no bathroom, unless a lot was removed that I didn't see. But then, because everything had that vacuum molded shape to it.
In 100% perfect condition.
Yeah, but 100% perfect
Transfers
conversion
of
cannot
everything in
that
conversion.
can't happen
Yeah,
anyway.
no. Well,
I mean, there can be 98.999, and that little extra 9 is heat, and it should show up. But
Could it be dissipated in the skin somehow? If it's so thick?
no, because I saw the reactor operated out, on a bench.
Oh, okay.
It was.
Now you say this one was removed, this panel?
Yeah.
How could you tell it was removed? I mean, was there a difference? Like
Yeah, it looked like you
scrub
could
around the
see
edge,
saw
or-
marks on the bottom, so it looked like
okay.
it was.
Okay.
You could tell where the human intervention was.
But
It looked like someone took a chainsaw to the bottom.
And it was like the chairs where it just kind of grew
Yeah.
out of the floor.
Right. That's where that little curve comes from.
what was a proton source?
I don't know.
And what was, you say like it was chainsawed from the floor. Well, what were you seeing? Like a thin section of a wall? Like it was hollow? Where it rose
No,
up?
it was solid.
Solid metal. It was all solid. Huh?
Yeah, which kind of makes you wonder what's in the box then.
Yeah, you'd think they would have cut it up higher or something.
Unless-
they wouldn't have to go through all that metal.
No, I didn't see, because I knew the amplifiers are directly underneath here, and I would have liked to have seen something.
Interacting between.
Yeah, a hole even for a
Conduits or-
cable,
yeah.
anything, but there was nothing at all. Or even this flexible line that came off of the top,
Did it
terminated
look like it
somewhere.
had been done recently? I mean, was there like little chunks of metal laying around?
No, it was very spick and span in there.
Did you get the feeling that the craft was extremely reliable?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean, from what you're describing, it
The fact
sounds
that
to
it
me that
worked
it's
like
just that somebody just understood fully the chemistry, the radioactivity, the
Yeah, that's
conversion.
a ballet is the perfect way to describe it. There's nothing that gets too hot that needs a fan to cool off. If
Yeah.
there's extra heat here, they do something with it.
Yeah.
There is no waste anywhere. It all works in perfect harmony. That's the impression I got, and I didn't see anything to deter me from thinking that way.
Now, you didn't see the ship go outdoors and towed or pulled.
I don't know
or
if
anything.
they
It was
started
out
up and hovered it out or someone dragged
Would you
it out.
say then that this particular amplifier wasn't operational because of that panel being gone, and you were only seeing like a 2/3 power, somehow crippled vehicle?
Yeah, possibly. No, I'd say no. Because of the way the ring formed around there, it was equal around the perimeter, all the amplifiers. I think there'd be some disturbance here, and the fact that on a bench test, when I saw the amplifier operating, it didn't have a box or console near it. I don't really know if it has anything specifically to do with the operation of it. So I don't think it was crippled.
How many
Well,
chairs did you see?
Two.
Two. On that level?
Yeah.
You never saw the upper level?
And they were right here.
Yes.
Was there anything in front of
Yeah,
it?
it makes a face with eyebrows on it. That's how it
And then the chairs obviously don't swivel or anything. They're
No,
stuck
they're-
facing
right.
facing this way or facing this way.
Facing this way.
So the two operators would have a central focal point or
Right.
something if they were sitting looking straight ahead. And there was nothing there on the wall that they would be.
No, there
staring at,
was.
right?
There was something removed here. I don't know what it was, but this was definitely cut closer to the ground.
But again, this sort of situation
Right.
where it's solid.
Right. It wasn't that obvious. I'm not 100% sure, but I think there was something there at one time. And when I came in, this is where everyone was hanging out, right here and along the wall. Of course, you have this.
Now, between the time you were in there, how many times did you get in there to look at all this?
Only once.
And how long was it between that time? Was that after you saw it fly or before?
Before.
And about how much time between? Week, day, hours?
I'd say a couple of weeks.
Okay. So they evidently had time enough to retrofit this with everything they needed to do the flight test. From what you saw. You don't think it could have flown with what you saw?
I don't know. I think it could have.
I mean, let's assume that if it's alien, that they have a reason for everything, and that panel would have been needed if there was supposed to be a panel there.
Right.
And this
Yeah.
guy would
There
have been needed.
is a point there. I don't know that it'll certainly operate with one amplifier working. So I don't know. They'd at least need something to sit on. So yeah, maybe they had to retrofit something on there.
Well,
I wish I could relay that feeling to you, how it is to look in there. I mean, it's. But I can't. It's not even awesome.
well, we're gonna go on the basis of the little gray guys, and work that way. In terms
Certainly something smaller than 5 feet. There's no doubt about that.
Of, yeah.
3.5 or 4 feet would be perfect. 3 feet would be small. I can see something 4 feet running around, 4 foot tall. Still, this space approaching the edge is useless. But then there's not a whole lot you have to pack in there anyway.
Wonder what happens there. When we say useless, I say to myself, like, everything is really so conservative in design and so interrelated. There must be something. there.
Even
Or
the
they
empty
stack-
space, I'm sure, has a function
You know,
in some way.
heat exchange or
That's what they stacked the
Acting as
Levi's that they bought down
plate
there.
condensers, a toroid. What do we got going there?
Something like that.
The tune pipe that's doing something. Is what's going on.
Incredibly small amounts naturally occurring plutonium. I mean, almost amounts you can't even measure, but it does here and there occur naturally. But that's about it. I mean, there is nothing higher than that.
Yeah.
Of course, everything higher than that would decay back down to go through a normal stable radioactive decay, and I just don't think there was enough bang.
Can
in the
it
solar
be
system.
synthesized by
It's
bombardment?
impossible. It's impossible. They've been trying that for a long time. They just can't get anything to stick for very long, above 106. I mean, even 106, 105, 104 is all, are we really sure those two atoms were, it's all, come on. It seems like you'd have to shoot for something. I can't see how you could do it, unless there's a completely different technique that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Certainly not sitting a target in an accelerator and bombarding it with hydrogen nuclei for months and months and months.
Yeah, I know there were programs that were going to set up huge fields to gather monopoles as they came streaking through to us.
That was a
And then-
successful little thing.
And they said, "Wait a minute, we can't have that much space for this." And who's going to run out there and find the monopole that you caught?
Yeah, those projects, and like the giant pools of water waiting for proton decay and things like those are those big projects that just require lots of time. I can't see synthesizing an element like that in any kind
Yeah.
of reasonable quantity.
How do you feel about Dr. Teller at this point?
I'll kill him. If I see him, I'll kill him. The next time I see him.
He's totally resisted. I've had correspondence before I knew you, before you even went on television. We had these correspondence going, and I think I sent you the letters.
Mm-hmm.
And I've written to him. I said, all we need is that one sentence that says Bob Lazar is a liar, and signed by Dr. Teller. That would end all of this. It's not coming.
He's afraid probably that I have something else on him. I'm sure that's why he's taking that position. He thinks maybe he's got a taped me he's doing something or a recorded phone call, so he's kind of. But what's his motive? What is his reason behind stonewalling everyone?
Pressure, I guess, from the government, perhaps.
But still, he could. I don't know. I guess there's a lot that I don't know. But.
Have you had any contact from anybody, slightest anybody from EG&G, anybody that you touched and talked with at one time? Has anybody ever come forward?
There was a couple people that contacted George, supposedly the guy that drove the bus from Broome to Escort, one of the security guards out there. Who were out where the plane lands, and he was just, after the special said, I work at 51, this is my badge number, you can come and look at it, and I saw this guy getting off the plane, if that's worth anything, and, he didn't stay at 51 long, he drove somewhere else, but little support guys like that, but no one like, I worked with Bob and we did this, and, nothing like that, just little acquaintances.
Have you ever heard of gravity shields being worked on at Los Alamos?
No.
Well, you have now.
Gravity shields. Huh?
Something called gravity shields. It was in a phone conversation that I got from this news source the other day.
One guy talked to for an hour.
Yeah, for an hour and a half. It was an interesting
little product. A gravity shield.
Gravity shields. That's what it was called.
Could you possibly shield from gravity?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, just number one, what is gravity? Do we really know? I mean, did you ever find out what gravity really is? Particle, wave, what? We know a little bit about wave.
Yeah, it's certainly a wave. It's not a particle.
It kind of goes to the light thing, photons or waves or what? What the hell?
Well, it's certainly just the small amount I learned. Certainly, in my mind, tied the unified field theory together a little more than than what's known. It's certainly, I mean, gravity, time, and space are really one thing. I don't think there is any difference between them. You know, it's not time, space. It's time, space, gravity. They are all one. It's a single
That
substance.
reminds me. Any illustrations on this warpage of time, space?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Scientific American has been running some articles recently with all of these
Have they?
distortions. Yeah, with the grids with the big humps and the twists.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen an issue of that for a while.
Do we do a,
Yeah, with
a
a
two-dimensional thing and bring it around this way, or how do you want to do it? Do you want to?
Three-dimensional would be better, but how? Because what you want to do is show a disc on the side, but then you kind of want to show the fabric of. How would you show the fabric of space? Well, you can kind of show it as a sheet, but then pinching a part of that sheet and pulling it to the kind of a pseudo three-dimensional. You can't show space in 3 dimensions and show the craft having an active point on it. You have to show it. The space is flat. The craft.
I know that's the toughest thing about it, because you have to put it into a two-dimensional thing.
Yeah, you need an analogy in your mind.
It's not two-dimensional.
Right. There's no 3-dimensional analogy of space, time.
That's why we need to get the computer system with 3D graphics.
Yeah, if you can have a craft and pick a point in space and then have that become a grid so you can see the distortion come to the craft, and the amplifiers focus in. Now, ABC said they would do that for